Alright guys, so if you guys haven't noticed by now, obviously I didn't post in a few days. Now I've kind of been struggling, sort of falling back into just sort of bad old habits. If I'm gonna be real with you guys, I got a lot of bad habits and tendencies, right? I got, a lot of times I think I procrastinate a lot with stuff that, needs to be done. I sort of put it off, right? A lot of times I also lack the self-discipline to sort of stick to routines and sort of, being consistent with something that I promised I would do for myself, right? Whatever that is. It might be, going to the gym 5 times a week. It might be fucking eating certain things, right? It might be sort of sticking to a routine that I know will better my life, right? And a lot of times I just lack the discipline to sort of follow through with it for more than, let's say a few days, a week, or, even a few weeks, right? And so, I wanted to sort of touch on that because, recently, this week, right, for me, I've been doing really good, right? Previously, I've been doing really good. I've been eating good. I was working out. I was doing well in the gym. I was making sure I was doing the right things. I was, being a little more active, right? In terms of, getting up in the morning, instead of just running to my phone, first thing to check, I'll go out for like a little walk, right? 5 minutes, something like that, right? Just a short little walk, no phone, no music, no earbuds, nothing, right? Just to walk, clear my mind, just to wake up, right? And, I was doing really good. And this week, I've sort of relapsed. And I couldn't tell you why. It's like I have a subconscious thing to sort of fuck my life up, right? It's almost like I'm addicted to fucking my life up. But nothing in like a dramatic way, right? Nothing crazy. Like I don't want to make it, because I know there's people out there with actual issues, and I don't want to undermine their issues and sort of, serious things. And I was sort of talking about relapsing. For example, like, maybe it's some sort of drug addiction. Maybe it's alcohol abuse, right? Maybe it's something of that nature that is very self-destructive in a major way that shows, right? I don't really have that, right? I don't really have that kind of vice, right? But for me, I feel like that self-destruction shows up in small ways, right? It'll be the smallest things, right? Things that I'll promise myself that I want to do and want to stick to, and I end up for some reason or another unable to stick to it, unable to follow through with it for more than, sort of an extended period of time. And, humans by nature, right? We are creatures of habit, right? We are what we do. We are what we do over time, right? You have the motivation factor, right? When you do things, when you are doing things that, you should be doing, but let's say in the moment you don't want to do. For example, go into the gym, right? A lot of times, right, just, be motivated in that stuff. Well, chasing motivation is just not the way to go, right? Because motivation, that feeling is fleeting, right? Anything fleeting like that is just not sustainable. So if you're constantly chasing and relying on motivation to do stuff that you don't want to do, you're not going to get very far, right? In the end, what's going to make and break you is the smallest habits that you sort of build over time, because habits are what make the man, right? Habits are what, I just said man is, an allegory. Doesn't mean like just man, woman, whatever, for people, right? So, and these sort of things for myself, I find a lot of times, and I'm not sure what it is, right? Because I have a sort of repeat cycle. I'll like want to do something, and I'll think in my head like, okay, here's the routine where I want to, establish for whatever that is, right? Sort of make it a consistent thing. And after a few days, after a week, whatever the time period is, it's fine, it's going great. And then I'll have a moment of relapse where I sort of fall apart. And then I sort of go back on old habits, start procrastinating. Maybe I don't do the right things. Maybe I'm not doing what I'm supposed to be doing. Maybe I just stay in my fucking room and not shower for a day because I feel like shit. Whatever it is, right? And then, it just kind of, the cycle will start anew. And so I feel like part of the problem is almost, a lot of times, I feel I set sort of unrealistic, I don't want to say unrealistic expectations, because on paper, I feel like they are realistic, right? When I make routines in my head for like things I should stick to, right? Like what I want to do, how I want to do it, like in a consistent way. I don't think it's unreasonable in the moment, right? But what I'm not accounting for is sort of, because I don't know how to explain this, right? As a person, right? You need to give yourself some leeway, right? You need to give yourself some room for error. Let's say going to the gym, right? So like going 6 days a week on paper, I don't think, for me, from my perspective, I don't think that's an unreasonable thing. However, I don't think it leaves enough room for leeway, enough room for error. For example, let's say like some days, maybe you just need more time to recover, right? Some weeks may just be harder than others. So I feel like finding that sweet spot, maybe whether it's cutting it down to 4 to 5 days or cutting it down in intensity when you are at the gym, right? Now that's just an example, right? I'm not saying that necessarily applies for my situation. But again, I feel like sometimes as people, we sort of set, again, unrealistic expectations for routines that we want ourselves to stick to. And because of that, because it's unrealistic right off the get-go, it is easier to relapse and fall back into sort of, bad habits, right? Not sticking to those routines, not doing the things that you promised yourself you would do. And you feel all the more guilty because of it after the fact. And so I wanted to talk about it, right? And again, it's nothing, I'm not trying to undermine or cut, because I know a lot of people got real issues, right? It's not really a real issue, right? And it doesn't show up in the stat sheet. Like, oh, I love fucking my life up, and you don't see some major change where, I'm suddenly out in the street or something, right? But I feel like it's just little habits I sort of build up over time, and it's stuff I don't notice, right? And I sort of just keep going back to sort of, I don't want to say it, but they're like loser habits, right? Putting things off, right? That's a big sign of sort of like non-commitment to your own life, right? Which is kind of sad, but also it's something I'm working on, right? And like for me recently, as I said, this week, these past couple of weeks, honestly, just been hard. For no particular reason. I couldn't tell you why. Nothing happened. And that's the thing, nothing happened. It's just a habit of going back to bad habits. Because it's sort of bad habits that I do have, right? They are, they're familiar in a way, even though I know they're probably, in the moment, right? I'm not consciously thinking like, hey, let's just fuck my life up for a week or, 2 weeks or whatever the time frame is, right? I don't think of it like that. It's an unconscious thing, right? It's a subconscious thing. I'm not actively trying to fuck my own life up. But at the same time, it's also something that just happens, and I'm trying to figure out a way to sort of control it and get a better grasp of why I'm doing what the fuck I'm doing, and sort of, addicted to fucking my life up, and the micro, sort of things where you can't exactly see them at the present, but you can kind of see the effects over time, over, weeks, months, years of sort of, repetitively doing sort of bad habits. But that's all I want to talk about today. I don't really have a fucking sort of like magic solution or anything with that. But anyways, I'll be back posting daily, all that shit. Hope you guys have a good one.